Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what they have with respect to DNA in the Nancy Guthrie case. Because yesterday, on July 30th, Sheriff Nanos disclosed that the FBI confirmed. And I gave you that in my vision, by the way. Remember that the results were not what they expected? Well, now it's coming out. It's not just in my remote viewing. I was right in my remote viewing that they confirmed that the testing on the hair sample recovered from Nancy's home in Tucson has been resolved and it does not point to a suspect. In fact, it was inconclusive. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So that sucks, doesn't it? I wanted to get more facts and decided to do some remote viewing, boys and girls, and I wanted to get inside Savannah's head. I wanted to get inside her head when she put out that new statement the other day, when she was on the phone with Mark Kelly. I wanted to get into Annie's head. What does Annie think of Savannah? What does Savannah think of Annie? What does Annie think of her mother? Or did she think of her mother? So I did some remote views, and while they have nothing on the DNA, I got a lot of tea to spill in here. And for those of you that may be interested, I actually did a remote viewing on Lindsay Clancy. Boy, that's a case. And did the whole recording yesterday, only to have my volume off the whole way. So if you really want to know what's going on the Lindsay Clancy case, inside her head at the time that the children were unalived, yeah, I did it. I went there. Stay after I tell you what I learned in the remote viewing on Nancy Guthrie here. And for those of you that attended the members live the other night, thank you so much. That was so much fun. And we're going to have our next members live this Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to get you all to do what we did last time. For anybody that wants to join, it's $2.99 a month, Canadian. You can do what we did last week, is use my remote viewing process, and let's get some case results, and let's figure out what happened to Nancy Guthrie together. $2.99, the first and last Sunday of every month. We're going to do this. So we'll see you there Sunday. The link is below. But now, Lindsay Clancy, Nancy Guthrie, and I said I was going to do Nolan Wells, but right now I'm just so icked out with that case. Yeah, let's just not even talk about it. Let's tell you what I learned. Okay, let's tell you what I learned. But first, watch this.
Investigators looking into Nancy Guthrie's disappearance are sharing new details nearly 6 months since she vanished. The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie went missing in the early hours of February 1st. CBS News national correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti sat down with the sheriff at the forefront of the investigation.
Even when a case goes cold, we don't give up on it. God forbid this ever take 50 years, but it could.
That statement from Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, who said potentially critical evidence recovered from Nancy Guthrie's Tucson home, hair, came back inconclusive.
It came back with no results.
No results.
Yeah.
Was there blood that is still being analyzed right now that could belong to the suspect or suspects?
I know that there was blood at the scene.
That blood and other DNA, Nanos says, has yielded no results. No new video has been recovered, and it appears the suspect or suspects evaded traffic cameras.
Do you think that the suspect or suspects could be local?
Sure, absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely. Do I have evidence of it? No, but let's look at crime across the country. 95% of your criminals are where? So right here locally.
Our family is in agony. We are in a nightmare that will not end.
On Monday, Savannah Guthrie addressed her mother's kidnapper, who it's believed sent 2 notes to the family before going silent.
So I'm asking you, begging you, to do the right thing now. Make the right choice. Help us find her.
You say you are optimistic, you're positive that there will be a resolution here. Is that based on any evidence that you have before you, or is that driven by your gut?
It's based on all the evidence before me. The bottom line here is this: we know more than you will ever know.
We can only hope. We can only hope that he knows more than we will ever know. What do y'all think? How devastating is this news for you all? Do you find it devastating like I do? Because I am just beside myself, upset, like beyond upset with this guy on the screen here in front of us. And I don't trust anything he has to say, and I know most of you don't either. So tell me, what does your gut tell you? Does your gut tell you that there's so much more, or that there's anything, even one thing more, that may solve this case that they are keeping from us? Is that a yes or a no? The birds are telling us in the background. I hope that was yes from the birds. What did you think?
Because that's how investigations work.
And the sheriff would not elaborate on the evidence, but he did say this is far from a cold case. He's still calling on the public for help. Anyone with information is asked to contact the FBI. That number, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Wow, wow, wow. So disappointing. So disappointing. So let me get into my remote views. Let's move the Clancy. Ask. I know a lot of people, and myself included, have been, debating what Savannah had to say when she called Mark Kelly at the beginning. Like, why? Obviously, she knows him, but was there more to it? I know a lot of people think that there's, a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. I personally don't subscribe to this. I think, like, I don't think Nanos is involved. I just think he's an idiot, excuse my language. But I wanted to see in my own remote viewing for myself, um, what the conversation was like. And I have to share this remote viewing that I did today. I did all of the things that I do normally to set up a remote view. But for those that are new, I'm a psychic medium, and I have experienced telepathy before with other spiritual, my teachers and whatnot, spiritual leaders, and in channeling Sebastian Rogers, etc. And I today got my messages completely. I'm just looking through my notes. Yeah, completely telepathically. In other words, normally when I go in a remote view, I get a flash and a scene, and I may hear something, but it's predominantly picture scenes, picture sites. But no, today I got everything telepathically, which means I hear the answer as if I'm channeling in a mediumship session with a deceased loved one, which I also do as a medium. So it's very much you hear it in your ear, clear. Oh my gosh. um, just losing the Clara for a second, whatever. It'll come to me in a minute. Um, Clairaudience. Jeez. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So I go into what was said between Savannah and Mark Kelly. What was inside Savannah's head? Because I want to know, is there more to this? And boys and girls, there really is nothing else to it. She says, I hear, Mark, I need your help. It's my mom. She's missing. Mark, I need your help. It's my mom. She's missing. And I ask help with what? And she wants help with the investigations. And she wants the FBI in the charge of the case and brought in from the get go. And I think as much as they tried to get involved, and that's Donald Trump came out at the beginning and the FBI, Kash Patel came out, they really legally can't do much more than try to ram their way in, which they did unsuccessfully as far as taking the lead and taking over the case, which we've all learned about, right? We all know. So she really just made that call to get, because she wanted the FBI in charge. She wanted the FBI in the case. So then I wanted to know who is, and I always put the dates, by the way. I just forgot the 26th. I mean, this whole book's 26, but July 31st, that was this morning, and yesterday's is July 30th when we get to Lindsay Clancy. So I wanted to know, who is Savannah talking to, or who is she visually seeing in her head when she made her last statement that replayed in the last video? Okay. And I see a picture. Do you remember the video we did where we showed Patriot Pride, who found Tommaso's relative, either believed to be his cousin or his brother, a chef in Italy? So when I ask, who does Savannah think is behind, who is she talking to in her last statement? I get an A and a T, but so I verify more specifically about, who does she think is the porch guy behind the mask? And that's when I get sorry, I have to redact. That is when I get a picture. I see a picture. See, I forgot. I forget these things. I see a picture. I see PIC, pics. I get this flash back and forth between the brother slash cousin in Italy and the T of the, and so in other words, she's tossed between the two about who the masked man is, maybe. I think there's a flip in her mind as to the involvement here, as to the potentiality of it being closer to home. And then I ask, what was the goal of her last message? Because when I ask more generically, I get the A and the T. And I hear specifically, and I write down, help me help you, Annie. You took our mother out of her home. Wow. That's what I hear. And then how does Savannah feel about Annie? What does she think about Annie? I hear words. I write down the words. Lost, confused, angry, sad. I mean, those are all things, as you know, I'm hearing them, is not surprising. But then, and especially considering their mother is missing, right? But then I also hear petulant child, disappointed with how her life turned out, had higher hopes for herself, struggles to get things to come together, struggles to focus on a plan, which is interesting because this was well orchestrated, which means that while the letter writer, a lot of ex-police, profilers, detectives are thinking sounds very feminine, but the first note was more masculine and commanding. Then if Annie and the T are, it just in some theories, one possible theory, right, that we're going with, possibly one, just one possible of many theories. If it could be them, then it wouldn't be Annie that created the master plan if she struggles to focus on a plan. And I don't really get, like, I've watched a couple of Monkeys Intrigues videos, and then it became a time issue because there's so many people like Chris Cuomo now. I mean, Chris Cuomo's doing Crime Time. Go check him out. He had Officer Tatum on. It was a great interview regarding the Nolan Wells. Even though I'm not covering it right this minute, I'm still keeping up with it, as well as Lindsay Clancy. It's a crazy case too. Anyways, love Chris Cuomo. Go check that out. That's a great interview. But so she struggles to get things together and make a plan, which means if my downloads and my telepathic experience here in this remote viewing is accurate, then, and as I started to say, so I don't watch Monk Intrigue now, not just because I'm watching like Chris Cuomo and everything else. Sorry, I realized I didn't finish that sentence. Now it's like I don't want to know his theory because he's so brilliant, but I don't want it to influence me. I don't know, you know? So it's like, but I know he's studied the art and the poetry. And so I'm very curious. It also reminds me about Charles's comment about studying the songs. Interesting. Okay, I digress. That the band wrote. The disappointed with how her life turned out as she had higher hopes for herself, but because she struggles to get things together and to focus on a plan and is disorganized, she's not been able to manifest that yet. And so that's where I'm making the link about I'd love to, even though I try not to watch too much of Monks, like I said, it started out as a timing issue because I'm now adding Chris Cuomo's podcast to my list of podcasters that I follow in this case. And it's just, you can't watch everybody. But now it's like I don't want to get his influence there because I know he and I have done a few videos that I have watched that are very similar thinking. And so I just would love to know about the poetry here. So how does Savannah really think about Annie? Lost, confused, angry, sad, disappointed with how her life turned out, had high hopes, petulant child, struggles to have things come together, struggles to focus on a plan, disorganized. But she's my sister. I love her. But she's always struggled in life. Interesting. Then I wanted to know, what does Annie think of Savannah? Pretty and perfect, I hear. The golden child who could do no wrong. I wanted her life. I want her life to be her. I resent her. I hate her sometimes. Everything comes easily to her. What does Annie think of her mother, Nancy? Stubborn. So now I'm inside Annie's head, right? Like I have gone back and done a new remote view for every one of these questions, by the way. What does Annie think of her mother, Nancy? Stubborn, determined to live independently, exhausting, tired of taking care of her. I need my life back. Tinge of resentment there, tinge of frustration there for sure. She's old, immobile, needs full-time care, and I'm not that. Interesting. Very interesting. I was going to back it up with the tarot, but I'm just not feeling the vibe of the tarot these days. Now, that's probably because when you work with the deck after a while, the energy's this there. And if you used to follow my tarot readings, in fact, there's like a bunch of them in the members only videos section. Um, the energy is like it's like the cards are meaningful and impactful to just flip out for me because that's what I do. I do the flippers because you're working with the cards, and I probably need to work more with them again to get that energy and flowing. So that's why they're not out right now. But anyway, so then I want to know what is going on with the DNA samples. Got nothing, got nothing is what I get. But then I wanted to know, will this case ever be solved? Yes. Yes, it will. Do you think it will? I think it will. And then two more questions. What, or who rather, sorry, does the FBI think porch guy is? And it's red, and some think it's a vegetable, and some think it's a fruit, and it rhymes with potato, and it would be tomato. Boom, 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 boom. Then I asked, what will happen to Nanos when, because right now, right, the DA because he lied on his application to become the sheriff, is trying to determine what the consequences will be. And this is where, so in fact, I had two visions. I'm sorry. Did so many, I forgot. I just have to see. Most of it was telepathic, but two visions. I see an axe come down on a chopping block. And I hear, may the chips fall where they may, upwards and onwards. So I think he's going to get ousted. I think he's going to get ousted. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm right. Okay. Now, for those of you that want to stick around for Lindsay Clancy, don't forget, if you're not sticking around, members only live Sunday. Lindsay Clancy. Let's show you a little bit about what this case is about if you're not familiar with Lindsay Clancy. And then I'll take you to my remote viewing. Just for this one video, close your eyes. I mean, seriously, I want you to imagine that you are the person I'm about to describe for you. I want you to pretend just for a little bit that you're this woman, stepping into her skin and living this experience. Imagine you're 35 years old. You're married. You have 3 beautiful children. You've got the career you always wanted. I mean, you spend your days helping bring babies into the world, delivery and labor nurse. I mean, life's perfect, especially everybody outside looking in, except nobody sees what happens after the front door closes. After the delivery of your 8-month-old little boy, something switched. You have 3 beautiful children, and you did suffer from postpartum depression when you delivered Cora, your first daughter, Dawson, your second child, and then little Callan. But something was different after Callan was born. Something you couldn't describe, something you couldn't get help for. In fact, I hope your eyes are continuing to be closed, because you were in this anxiety that you couldn't control after Callan. You went to get help, not once, not twice, several times, because you couldn't seem to get this depression under wraps. You couldn't seem to get your anxiety under control. You can't sleep. You're just out of control. And you feel like something is wrong, and you are begging for doctors to help you. You don't go once, you go so many times that in a 4-month span, you are on a dozen medication cocktails. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Well, that didn't work. Let's try this, let's try that. And then you not only are on these cocktails, they're making it worse. Your husband and yourself tell the doctors, this isn't working. I'm feeling worse. And everybody's just seeing that you're this labor and delivery nurse. You've got these 3 beautiful children. You've got everything that you want. But they don't know in the background, quietly, this anxiety is just staring the heck out of you. You can't sleep. Your heart's racing for no reason. You begin crying and you don't know why. You love your family. You love your husband. You adore your children and love them to bits. But you don't recognize yourself anymore. And no matter how many times you seem to go to the doctors, the psychiatrists, therapists, not even one therapist, 2 doctors, different medications, different clinics, different hospitals, medication change, more medication change, emergency room, psychiatric, crises line, husband begging doctors, everybody you can reach out to professionally. You keep trying. You do everything you're supposed to do. Now, again, are your eyes still closed? Stick with me. Stick with me. Because now you start to get intrusive thoughts. You just enter your mind that something comes in, fleeting, that you might want to harm yourself. Or what if I hurt my children? You know, millions of mothers experience postpartum depression, and most never act. But you were a labor and delivery nurse. And so you knew these thoughts were getting louder, and the medication was making you more confused and more anxious, and more diagnoses and more doctors and more appointments and promises. Oh, this medication will help. This medication will help. And now I want you to open your eyes, and I want you to pretend that you're in the jury box and you're staring at that woman that I just described to you. That woman is Lindsay Clancy. And today is Friday, July 24th, 2026. Okay, everybody. I did that video a week ago. Listen to the birds. And I had to privatize it because it was such an epic failure. But Lindsay Clancy's case is not just about postpartum depression, it's postpartum psychosis, which is like 1 in 100,000 people or something, like so rare. And she got help, and they tried, her and her husband, Patrick Clancy, to get help. And the prosecution is making it sound like she planned it and tried to pretend she committed suicide. So when the fateful night happened, Lindsay had sent her husband Patrick to get takeout food she had ordered online and some medication for their 5-year-old oldest daughter, Cora. He was gone 55 minutes. And she claims in that time she had a psychosis where some man spoke to her, told her to kill the kids. They were better off with God, and she was their last chance to do it. And when her husband Patrick gets home, there was exercise bands around their 3 children's necks. He can't find anybody. The bedroom door is locked. He breaks in and he sees that the bed had been pushed up against the window, blood on the window, and Lindsay laying in the winter on the Massachusetts hard ground below. She paralyzed herself. She'll never walk again. She had slit her throat and her 2 wrists. And he's the first witness the prosecution calls up. And he's actually suing in a civil lawsuit. I don't know exactly who the medical practitioner is because they gave her such dangerous cocktails that she was getting worse, and they kept telling them she's getting worse and didn't get treated. And now 3 children have lost their lives, and that entire family has lost their lives. Lindsay Clancy's in a wheelchair. Her husband's divorced her and remarried despite being the one that wants to testify on her behalf, even though he has the most to be angry about. So I'll show you a really quick clip in court because this is the room the kids were found in. Because that's where I went in this remote viewing. I wanted to know what was inside Lindsay Clancy's head. Because the prosecution are trying to say, well, because she Googled the restaurant before she took the takeout and she called the pharmacy to make sure they had drugs, that she was planning the time it would take before her husband would come home, that she really, didn't intend to commit suicide because her cut wounds to her neck and her wrists were superficial. Mind you, she paralyzed herself. And so that's their claim as the prosecution. And the defense is saying, hey, you guys, the medical practitioners, drove her into a psychosis. It was postpartum depression. And now they're saying she is bipolar. And because they misdiagnosed that, which postpartum depression, I've just learned in following this case, can lead to bipolar. So she had postpartum depression with her first 2 children, but it was nothing like this with Callum. with Callan. And so, yeah, was it a psychosis in the moment where she didn't know what she was doing? Was she out of control? Or was this planned as a nurse and she timed it all and she made it look like she was cutting herself? And she just threw herself out of the window because the prosecution's claiming there's blood on the windowsill and whatnot. And so she lowered herself down and laid on the ground. Well, that doesn't line up with being in a wheelchair and being paralyzed. And she broke all of her ribs, every single rib, and had internal bleeding. And the paramedics described her as being sort of out of it, lucid, not really with it, rather, in when they arrived on scene. So we're going to show you a quick court clip and then I'll read you what I found about what was in her head in the moment. Her behavior is shocking. So let's watch this.
When you came into the house and you were taking off your boots and putting things down, was there anything you noticed?
Yeah, the house is really quiet.
Is that unusual?
Yeah.
And when you realized it was really quiet, what did you do?
I called out
And who did you call out to?
everyone.
Did anyone answer?
No.
After you called out and no one answered, what did you do next?
I think I don't know the order, but I called down in the basement and no one answered. And then I called Lindsay to see if she was home because I looked out and I couldn't see her car, but it's because it was dark and her car's black.
Okay, so when you say you called down to the basement, when you approached the basement door, do you remember if it was open or shut?
It was shut.
So did you open it and yell down?
Yeah,
And there was no response?
correct.
And showing you a photo here, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the stairway down to the basement level?
Yeah.
We could have this marked as the next exhibit, please.
That may be admitted.
Exhibit 41. Do you recall when you opened the door to yell down whether the light was on or off?
Yeah, it was on, but Lindsay always left the light on.
And you said you called Lindsay. Was that a phone call?
Yeah.
And was that at approximately 6:09 p.m.?
Yeah.
And did she answer?
No.
The stairs to the basement, did you leave the door open or did you close it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I would think I closed it because I always try to keep it closed. I'm not sure.
Okay. And so after you called Lindsay and didn't get a response, what did you do next?
I started checking upstairs.
And where did you check upstairs?
First, the bathroom. I thought maybe they were taking baths, but there's no one there.
And then where did you go?
The kids' bedrooms.
Was there anyone in the kids' bedrooms?
No.
And then did you go to your bedroom?
Yeah.
And were you able to get into your bedroom right away?
No, the door was locked, and that's when I knew something was wrong.
And when you realized the door was locked, did you have a way to unlock it?
Yeah, the previous owners, when they installed the doorknobs, had these like these little keys that they taped to the back of each door. So I got the one from Cora's room, and I started unlocking the knob.
And when you unlocked the door to your bedroom, did you go in?
Yeah.
And what did you see when you opened the door and went in?
I just saw blood everywhere, and the window is open.
And showing you here a photo, is this the bed in your bedroom?
Yeah.
Now, the way the bed is in this photo, kind of pulled away from the wall and slightly askew or at an angle, is that the way it was typically?
No.
And when you left the bedroom that day for the last time prior to coming home later that night, was the bed in that position?
I don't think so.
You could have this photo marked as the next
That may be admitted.
Exhibit 42.
That is the window, the bedroom that he was just showing you, the father of these 3 deceased unalived children that Lindsay Clancy admits to having unalived. The question was, or is, for the jury, is she responsible criminally? Was she in her right mind, or did the psychosis mean, does the psychosis that caused her to have this episode where she strangled her 3 children and unalived them, is she responsible in that moment? Did she know what she was doing in that moment? And they're trying to suggest that she lowered herself down to that window is the far right one on the second story, that bedroom window. So I got inside her head. And I'm going to go backwards just because I'm showing you the window, and then I'll show you, because what happened next was when he saw Lindsay outside, he runs outside around the back. He tries to talk to her, ask where the kids are. She says in the basement. He runs into the basement screaming. He calls police. I don't know the exact order right at the moment because I've skipped some parts of the trial. But then he runs back down to he runs down to the basement. He just called down, but he runs down only to find his kids, and that's apparently the most shrilling 911 call you'll ever hear. In fact, only people that were in the courthouse could hear it because they blocked it from the media, as per the father Patrick Clancy's request. So I want to know how she goes out the window. And I'm shown a picture. They don't show me when she cuts her throat and her wrists, but they do show me when she goes out that window. She didn't scale her way down trying to, climb out and hang down and drop down like the prosecution's suggesting, which is also, if you think about it, kind of silly because she, like I said, broke every single rib, had internal bleeding, and is paralyzed permanently now. I'm shown instead her launching herself out the window. Okay. Now I want to show you the basement where the kids were found, and I'll tell you what I see in the unfortunate moment that this all happened. It's a very sad case. So when I first zone in and I asked to see in the moment, like to be inside her head, like what's going on inside Lindsay Clancy's head in the moment she unalives her kids. And it's moving really fast. She's rushing. Like I see her in the basement, and I'm first shown the baby close to the white door in the back on the ground. And she's rushed, and like she's with the baby, and I can see an exercise band on the floor beside the baby, and I believe it was yellow. And she's frantic, and her hands are waving, and I can feel this pressure. And hands on her lips, and then I hear, oh no, 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 like she's talking to somebody, something. And saying, "Oh no, you don't. Oh no, you don't. Oh no, no, no. Oh no, you don't. Oh no, no, no. Don't you don't." She's in this frantic, and I feel her freaking out and pressure and a hard time breathing and just completely freaked out. And then I hear who I think is it might have been Cora, if not their other child. And I get the sense that they're in another room because I get the sense that she brings the baby, the 8-month-old, out first. Although she doesn't unalive him in that moment, he's placed there, and the other 2 kids are in a room, and then I feels like she brings one child out, unalives, the next child out, unalives, and then the baby last. And while she's getting like in this frantic, oh no, 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 like, oh no, you don't, like, I hear a child in the other room. I hear, "Mummy, please help me." And she's so frantic. It's like her hands are like, I don't know, it's so strange. Um, but she's totally in a panic. And yeah, so I don't know that I don't feel like I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. Like I don't feel that. And then I do unfortunately get shown this while she's unaliving Cora, that she feels very demonic. Like, I don't know, like it's almost like she's not talking in her voice. It feels masculine. It feels deep. It's like this, rah, rah, rah. Like there's like these, I don't know, guttural moans that are animalistic when she's choking unaliving Cora. I don't really know how to say it. She's not forming words. It's gargling. It's like demonic. Like there's something possessing her. It's just, I don't know. I've never been given a vision like that before. So it's very sad. It's very, very, very sad. And I do ask how the trial is going to go. And I get the sense that there may be very close to a couple hung juries that the judge may have to say on more than one occasion, okay, y'all, you got to go back. This is your job. You got to go back and keep trying. And that they do come back at the end with, and I hear when I ask about what the end of the trial results will be, and I hear, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. And just based on what I've seen so far, that's how I would hope it would go. Because, you know, she tried to get help. This is a woman that tried to get help here. I mean, the system failed. Lindsay Clancy, her 3 children, Patrick Clancy, and their entire extended family, in my opinion. Thank you for being here. Do all the YouTubey things. Check out the members only for $2.99 a month, where we do the first and last Sunday of every month lives. And there's also other videos in there. And we're going to start working on my remote viewing and see if we can solve the Nancy Guthrie case together. So do all the YouTubey things. Thank you for being here, everybody. Love and light. See you in the next one.